Did you hear that? That haunting caw in the distance? A black crow perched on an old tree branch, watching. It's just a bird, you think. But for thousands of years, this creature has been far more than feathers and flight. Did you know this? Black bird has symbolized death, wisdom, and prophecy for thousands of years. Its shadow has flown through every sacred text, whispered through ancient myths, and circled the hearts of kings and prophets. Today, we uncover how different religions and mythologies viewed this mysterious bird. We trace its wings across time, belief, and memory. The crow is one of the most intelligent birds on Earth. It solves problems, uses tools, recognizes faces, even holds grudges. But this bird is not just clever. It's also incredibly social, forming lifelong bonds with its kind. It plays. It mourns its dead. And somehow, it survives in every corner of the world, from icy forests to concrete cities. The crow doesn't just adapt, it endures. And maybe that's why we notice it, even when we pretend we don't. There's something in its eyes, something too human to ignore. From the earliest civilizations, humans have seen the crow as a mirror, a message, a mystery. Some fear it, others revere it, but no one is indifferent. That's what makes the crow so powerful in our stories. In this journey, we'll follow its flight through time, from the Quran and Bible to Hinduism and Norse mythology. This is the story of the crow across belief systems, how it stood beside prophets, watched over kings, and perhaps whispered to the conscience of mankind itself. Let's begin where it all started, with the very first story of death in human history. The crow in Islam and the Quran. In the Islamic tradition, the crow is more than a bird. It becomes a teacher in the most tragic of lessons. The Quran tells us the story of two brothers, the sons of Adam, Qabil and Habil. One of them, Qabil, consumed by jealousy, killed his own brother. It was the first murder in human history. But when the body fell silent, Qabil stood frozen. He didn't know what to do. He stared at his brother's lifeless form, ashamed but confused. Death had arrived, but no one had yet learned how to bury it. And then came a crow, sent by God. It landed nearby and began digging the earth with its beak and claws. Then it placed another dead crow into the hole, covering it gently with soil. A silent ritual, a message without words. Watching this, Qabil suddenly understood. He looked at the bird and cried out, full of regret, "Oh, woe to me! Am I not even like this crow to hide the shame of my brother?" That moment was the birth of burial, and the crow became the first guide in our response to death. Islamic scholars have reflected on this story for centuries. Some say the crow symbolized divine mercy, a sign that even after sin, guidance is possible. Others believe it represented conscience, that inner voice we sometimes silence but never lose. In Islamic thought, the crow reminds us of our mistakes and teaches us how to correct them. It doesn't speak, but it shows. And sometimes, that's all the soul needs. The crow in the Bible, Old and New Testament. In the Bible, the crow, or raven, appears at a turning point in human survival. After the Great Flood, as Noah's Ark drifted over endless waters, the world waited for a sign of land. So Noah opened a window and sent out a raven. But the raven never came back. It flew across the water endlessly, circling the broken earth. Some say it found no place to rest. Others believe it fed on the remains of what the flood had left behind. Either way, its absence felt like a message, a silence that meant judgment. It was the dove, not the raven, who later returned with the olive branch and the promise of peace. In the book of Leviticus, crows are listed among the unclean, birds not to be eaten. They were marked as impure, dark, scavenging, untouchable. But the Bible doesn't stop there. In the story of Elijah the prophet, it is the raven that becomes a miracle. Elijah fled into the wilderness, alone and hunted. He had nothing. But each morning and evening, God sent ravens to bring him bread and meat, black wings against the desert sky, carrying life to the forgotten. So in one book, the crow is rejected. In another, it becomes divine help, a contradiction only faith can hold. Sometimes, what we fear may also save us. The crow in Hinduism, the crow is not feared. It is welcomed, even fed. Every year, during the sacred ritual of Shraddha, families offer food to crows: rice, milk, sesame, placed gently on the ground, beneath trees or on rooftops. Why? Because many believe the souls of ancestors come in the form of crows. When a crow eats during Shraddha, it's seen as a blessing, a sign that the offering has reached the other world, that the spirits are at peace, and that the bond between the living and the dead still breathes. The crow becomes a bridge between this life and the next. It carries messages, love, memory. It watches from above. And in some stories, it carries the soul itself. Hindu texts also speak of karmic cycles, and some believe that a soul with unresolved deeds may return as a crow, not as punishment, but as a chance, a moment to reconnect. 2. Be seen again, even if only from a rooftop. So in Hindu belief, the crow is not just alive. Buddhism, Chinese, and Japanese traditions. In Buddhism, the crow is seen with quiet respect. It's not a symbol of fear, but of awareness, watchful, present. The crow reminds us to see clearly, to pay attention to what others overlook. In ancient Buddhist tales, it appears during moments of truth, as if to say something important is happening. Wake up. In Chinese mythology, the crow flies with the sun, literally. There is a legend of the Yangwu, a sacred black bird with 3 legs that lives inside the sun. It watches the world from above, glowing with heavenly fire. The 3 legs represent the sky, the earth, and humanity, the 3 balances of life. The crow is not cursed here. It is divine. In Japan, there is another 3-legged crow, the Yatagarasu. It is said to guide emperors and warriors, to appear at turning points in history. In the eyes of the Japanese, the crow is a sign that heaven has chosen a path for you, that you are being guided, even if the road is unclear. So, in the East, the crow doesn't just survive darkness. It carries the light within it. It watches from the sky, and sometimes it leads. Norse and Greek mythologies. In Norse mythology, the crow is more than a bird. It is thought and memory. The god Odin, the All-Father, keeps 2 crows by his side, Hugin and Munin. One flies with thought, the other with memory. Every day, they travel across the world, collecting secrets, truths, and whispers. Then they return, landing on Odin's shoulders, and speak of all they have seen. In this story, the crow is not a scavenger. It is a witness, a bringer of wisdom, a symbol that knowledge must come from watching, from listening to the world. The Greeks, too, had a tale. The god Apollo once loved a woman named Coronis. He sent a white crow to watch over her. But when the crow brought back news of betrayal, Apollo burned with rage. He punished the bird, turning its feathers black forever. Since then, the crow has worn darkness like a curse, but also like a reminder that truth, once spoken, has a cost, and that messengers sometimes suffer for the truths they carry. In both Norse and Greek worlds, the crow holds memory and meaning. It doesn't just tell stories, it remembers them. In modern times, the crow has not lost its mystery. It has simply changed its voice. In Edgar Allan Poe's haunting poem, The Raven, a black bird visits a grieving man. It perches above him, repeating one word, nevermore. The crow becomes grief itself, the memory that won't leave, the echo of love that cannot return. In literature, the crow often represents madness, sorrow, or the edge of the human mind. It appears in dark alleys, on forgotten rooftops, in broken dreams. Philosophers like Carl Jung saw the crow differently. To him, it was a symbol of the shadow self, the part of us we hide, our fears, our truths, our untamed instincts. The crow asks us to face them, to accept what lies beneath the surface. So, even today, when we see a crow watching from above, maybe it's not just a bird. Maybe it's a mirror, reflecting who we really are. Across every continent, every age, and every belief, the crow has flown. It has watched from the shadows of temples, perched on the shoulders of gods, walked beside prophets, fed the hungry, guided the lost. To some, it is a bad omen. To others, a messenger, a soul returned, a warning, a guide. How can one bird hold so many meanings? Perhaps it's because the crow never tries to be anything else. It lives as it is, dark, wild, free. It doesn't sing, it caws. It doesn't beg to be understood. Yet every culture has seen something sacred in it. Maybe the crow reflects the parts of us we often ignore, the part that remembers, that questions, that watches in silence, the part that carries both shadow and wisdom. So next time a crow crosses your path, don't look away. Don't just see a bird. See a story that's still being written, maybe even your own. Does your culture have a unique story about crows? Something passed down from your grandparents, a tale whispered at night, or a symbol you were taught to fear or follow? We would love to hear it. Share your story in the comments below. Let's build a nest of memories from every corner of the world. And if this journey made you feel something, a memory, a question, a spark, then like the video. Subscribe for more stories that reach the heart. And follow us as we listen to the voices often ignored. Thanks for watching.